Mount Hagen police commence investigations into the shooting of two. Provincial Labour officers called to improve performance. And national ID card system to roll out in 2015.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and thank you for joining me. This is Sunday's news. Investigations are continuing into the shootings that occurred in Mount Hagen City on Thursday. A Hagen Park Secondary School student was among the two that were shot while police were trying to disperse looters. Yesterday, police reportedly took 4 students into custody. MTV's Sylvester Gawi has this report.
So far, 2 people have died and several are still recovering from minor injuries following the police and public confrontation in Mount Hagen City. The incident happened when police were dispersing looters from several shops that were on fire on Thursday morning. A police unit was reported to have driven into the Hagen Park Secondary School ground and fired tear gas, which forced examinations to be delayed.
By police personnel armed with guns, tear gas.
Some doors and walls of classrooms were also damaged by police officers during the attack.
There was a shooting that took place. Someone was shot dead, and then another student from this school was injured as well.
The incident was allegedly caused by students throwing stones and using abusive words at police officers at the scene. Western Highlands Acting Police Commander Jacob Kamiak says police were only doing their job to protect the lives and businesses of the people. He couldn't confirm the shooting by police as investigations are still underway.
I mean, they were throwing stones and sticks at policemen. We were, trying to contain the situation. So we have at least shots were fired to disperse the crowd.
The school's administration has also compiled a report on Thursday's incident and have presented to several authorities, including the police hierarchy. However, police have contained the situation and are on alert to respond to possible threats from families and relatives of the deceased. Sylvester Gawi, National EMTV News.
The Department of Labour and Industrial Relations is doing all it can to deliver effective labour services. It has urged its provincial labour officers throughout the country to perform. The Labour Act is currently under review with the Labour Minister, Benjamin Poponawa, hoping to get it past Cabinet.
The Department of Labour and Industrial Relations generates millions for the government coffers. Despite this, provincial labour officers have been told not to rest on their laurels but perform effectively. The recently concluded Labour conference in Madang identified that there is still more to be done in ensuring workers' rights are protected and compliance of the labour laws are adhered to. Chairman of the conference, Copeland Gewa, highlighted the areas that must be taken into consideration.
Provides an ideal opportunity for the department to start strategizing and plotting their way forward, particularly in light of some of the new reforms that have been adopted by the department, which includes the reforms in relation to the occupational safety and health, amendments to the Employment Act, and of course recently with the new minimum wages rate coming into effect. This is an ideal time for us to get together and discuss some of this issue and see how best the department can be able to contribute not only meaningfully but effectively in the area of labour service delivery.
Although there's been criticism from within on the agendas and the purpose of the conference, Gewa was firm that the conference was a success. He says there are challenges facing provincial labour officers, but the department is addressing it through its nationwide rollout program. Minister for Labour Benjamin Poponawa stressed the need for partnership with other stakeholders. He wants provincial labour officers to engage more with their stakeholders to boost labour's service delivery.
The recent passing of the private partnership bill, which has given rise to the change in our approaches to effectively and efficiently implement the agendas of the government through partnership with the private sector. This ministry is no different in implementing the government's agendas through its current reform programs and its existing mechanism already in place.
The Labour Act is also under review to cater for new industries and a change in working environment.
It is basically outdated, and as the country is moving forward, it is important that the department must be able to adapt to some of these changes. But in order to adopt, we must be able to institute some changes to make it conducive for current conditions.
Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
You're watching Sunday's news. After the break, National Statistics Office to roll out nationwide ID system, and Bulolo District engages NRI to study developments in mining villages. That's coming up next. Stay tuned. Good to have you back with the news. Reliable and relevant data is essential for the government to plan and make better decisions for a country's development. With that, the national government has tasked the National Statistical Office to put in place and implement the National Identification Card system in the country. The NID system is scheduled to roll out in February next year.
Papua New Guinea is seeing a fast-paced growth with major developments taking place around the country. But all these changes comes as the nation builds its way to be a vibrant leader in the Pacific. Despite these changes, the country's population has passed the 7 million mark and keeps climbing. The National Identification Card system is a mechanism designed to feed the national government with reliable statistics for better planning and delivery of services. This is a vital component for policy formulation at all levels of government. This will see the establishment of provincial registry offices to collect data and later obtain identity cards. Mobile collection points for rural communities will also be in place. The successful implementation of this project depends entirely on the cooperation between the national government, provincial and district authorities. National statistician Rocco Coloma urges provincial governors to make land available in their respective provinces for the construction of provincial and district collection offices. This will be a way forward for the project. However, to date, Southern Islands, Western Islands, Central and New Island have made land available for that. Meanwhile, a 3-day national consultative workshop for the NID project will commence tomorrow in Port Moresby. The workshop will see provincial administrators, government agents and stakeholders discuss and plan for the nationwide rollout of the project. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
PNG's legal system was criticized in the Church Partnership Program Forum for failing to address gender-based violence issues concerning women and girls. Family Health International 360 data shows more women and girls are vulnerable due to the weak legal system. This sees an overwhelming number of rape and assault cases caused by perpetrators not facing justice. While churches and non-government organizations are making efforts to address gender-based violence, the forum pushed for the state to play its role to ensure a free and safe society for all. The forum was held in Madang recently. Member for Bulolo, Sam Basil, raised a concern on the lack of development for people living in villages within the vicinity of mining and petroleum project sites. Basil says the financial proceeds from mining development flows to the national government and other stakeholders in PNG, while the chances of benefits to the locals are slim. Based on that concern, the Bulolo Joint District Budget and Planning Priority Committee engaged National Research Institute to do an independent study. The report was presented recently at the State Function Room in Parliament.
The report presented is a review and assessment of the benefit sharing arrangement for large-scale mining activities in Wau Bulolo. Present were Governor for New Island, Julius Chen, Milne Bay's Titus Philemon, Kila Hauda Central, Medang's Jim Cass and other members of Parliament. Spearheading the study was Dr. Augie Sanida and his team from the National Research Institute. The Bulolo MP said while Papua New Guinea is rich with natural resource, it remains poor with low social indicators.
The National Research Institute released its report on the need for a sovereign wealth fund and about public expenditure monitoring and whether the people really see the impacts of their own level and in their communities. That is a separate issue at the country level, and it is it will be interesting.
He stressed there is lack of development for people who live in impacted communities and villages. Out of the 300 million kina from alluvial mine per annum, 95% is meant for Waubulolo. However, the villages of Watut, Bianga and Biaru, located within the mining area, do not receive tangible benefits.
We start operating mines, we must ensure we have proper schools and training program in place before agreements are signed. The National Research Institute study concluded that despite the monies flowing around, the impact of benefits flow on development within the mine-affected communities and the district is largely negligible.
The objective of the study is to review and assess all forms of mining proceeds flowing from the Hidden Valley Gold Mine to all relevant parties. From the information gathered and based on the analysis, there are 5 findings provided along with the recommendation that will be looked at by the Bulolo Joint District Planning and Budget Priorities Committee. Tere Alex, National EMTV News.
Our news segment ends on that note. Trukai Sports is coming up next. Team Manus ready for the games in Leh, and Tura the Kokomo visits Northern Province. I'll give you the details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
BSP PNG Games 2014. 20 days to go. Support your province.
Team Manus is ready to make an impact at the 6th BSP PNG Games. This was the message from Provincial Team Manager Jack Nawi Changa when asked about the preparations of his team. The province will be sending competitors in boxing, darts, hockey, soccer, bodybuilding and karate.
The collection of islands which form the province has been known to have produced some of the best soccer and hockey players that the country has ever seen. But that has not necessarily transcended into provincial success on the national stage. With the approach of the 6th BSP PNG Games in November, the sporting administration in the province has been working to ensure that its athletes reach their full potential. Jack Nawi Changao left his job in the local post office to take up a role in sport administration, and while the job has been difficult with remoteness and sponsorship issues, he is committed to see his people do well.
For the general team management, we're planning to have a corporate dinner, not to raise much money, but at least just to raise enough to assist the teams. That is the preparation for the general team management. But for the sports themselves, yes, I'm pretty sure that the 9 sports, they will make the impact in the 6 PNG Games in Leh.
Another person who is also looking at success in the sporting arena is Peter Sakai, who as coach led his side to the Besta Cup title last month.
Yes, on mangi oli gadis la belna. Sila ting stop to goal sem. Ting belum plau sem. We have another game after the Besta Cup mem. Ibla ting mo sem PNG Games still stop. So that is why na old mangi gadis la bel kirabiet lo kam. Na ibla come early morning lo train today.
Over the previous 5 installments of the PNG Games, Manus has averaged 10th overall, and these games give an opportunity to improve that placing. Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV Sports.
2015 Pacific Games mascot Tura the Kokomo was in the capital of Northern Province, Popondetta, in his recent provincial tour. Games Organising Committee Chief Executive Officer Peter Stewart encouraged provincial governments to take advantage of the opportunity to engage their communities in the Games. Northern is the 19th province visited by Tura. The visit saw discussions with the Northern Provincial Government to discuss the possibility to facilitate the Games relay leading up to the opening ceremony. 3 provinces scheduled to be visited by Tura in the next couple of weeks are the Autonomous Region of Bougainville, Western Province and Hela. The Vabukori Amateur Volleyball Association is preparing to send a team for the Digicel National Championships in Leh. The team consists of young, talented and upcoming players from the Under-21 division. MTV's Rafaela Kaore reports.
The Vabukori Amateur Association played the semi-finals at the Vabukori village yesterday. However, the finals will be played at a later date after selected players return from the National Volleyball Championships. Vava President Turahau Moria said there will be a total of 65 players plus officials traveling to Leh.
VAVA is planning to take 5 teams for the national championships. We've got 2 open men's teams, which include the current 10-time national champions. We also take in an open women's team, as well as under 21 men's team and under 21 women's teams.
VAVA is expecting a strong competition from the Fairfax, NCD and UN associations from Port Moresby and Leh.
So part of this exercise is to give them the opportunity and expose them to elite volleyball at the national level and see how they fare there. Whether they win or not is not important, but it's important that we introduce them to the level of competition that exists in the country so that they can prepare themselves for whatever endeavors they pursue in volleyball in the future.
Members of PNG team Amoa will be also part of the VAVA team. The Volleyball National Championships will be held from the 31st of October to the 2nd of November. Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
And that report wraps up our sports segment tonight. The weather details coming up next. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather information is proudly brought to you by Tablebirds.
A quick look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in southern region, Port Moresby and Daru mostly fine. In Momase, all centres to anticipate showers. In the New Guinea Islands, all centres showers as well, but Kavieng includes thunderstorms. And lastly in Highlands, evening showers in Mounts Hagen, Mendi and Wabe. Now before we go, quickly recapping our main headlines tonight. Police begin investigations into the recent shooting in Mounts Hagen City. Also, Labour officers encouraged to improve performance and National Statistical Office to pilot National ID project in 2015. Well, that's been the news, sports and weather for this Sunday, the 26th of October. From the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi. Thanks for your company. Good night.